is an intimate and inspiring war story set in the Pacific during World War II. The story centers on a man and a woman stranded and isolated on a remote island. U.S. Marine Corporal Allison and Irish Army nurse Angela. The film is a profound exploration of friendship, faith, and love that thrive in extreme conditions, as both characters face the dangers of invading Japanese forces while grappling with their spiritual and emotional differences. The film is a story about how humans can find strength and humanity amid the horrors of war. The story begins with the dramatic scene of U.S. Marine Corporal Allison, adrift in the Pacific Ocean. His submarine is attacked and sinks, leaving him the only survivor. He manages to grab a life raft and drifts with the current until he is stranded on a small, remote, uninhabited island. Exhausted, Allison began exploring the island in search of water and food. She was surprised to find no signs of human presence, particularly a small, abandoned chapel. Inside the chapel, he finds the island's sole inhabitant, a young woman dressed in a nun's habit named Angela. She is an Irish army sister who recently arrived on the island with an elderly priest, but the priest died shortly after their arrival. Angela is now alone, trying to survive on the few supplies she has. This unexpected encounter between a tough Marine and a devout nun marks the beginning of their journey on the remote island. Allison, with her military instincts, immediately took over responsibility for ensuring their survival. She began building safer shelters and searching for food sources. She used her military knowledge, while Sister Angela guarded and cared for their resources. As the days and weeks pass, the two strangers begin to form a close friendship. Allison is honest and down to earth, representing the physical world and life's challenges. Angela's gentle nature seems to connect with her spiritual world and strong faith. They share stories and perspectives on life despite the barriers that separate them. Allison, a lonely Marine, becomes increasingly captivated by Sister Angela's beauty, courage, and purity. She tries to understand why a young woman would choose a life bound by sacred vows, while Sister Angela struggles to balance her emotional closeness to a strong, kind man without breaking her promise. The physical limitations of the island forced them to be constantly close. Allison often tried to seduce or bridge the gap between herself as a soldier and herself as a nun. But Sister Angela always managed to maintain that boundary with grace and firmness. One day, the island's tranquility was suddenly disturbed when Japanese troops who had just lost a battle elsewhere arrived and made the island their temporary base. Allison and Angela were forced into hiding. Allison chose a hidden cave in the hills, which she then converted into their hideout. They had to live in extremely difficult conditions, only able to move at night to find food and water. The presence of Japanese troops heightens Allison's vigilance. With her military training, she must fight to resist taking any rash action that could endanger Angela. The fear of discovery, combined with the harsh living conditions, tests their mental and physical strength. At one point, emotional tensions escalated between them. Allison became intoxicated with alcohol she had found in the Japanese supplies, and in a state of shock, she approached Sister Angela with a confession of her love. Sister Angela, lovingly but firmly, reminded her of her sacred vows to God. Allison, embarrassed, took a step back, but this moment reinforced her deep respect for the nun's sacrifice and faith. Sometime later, the situation changed. American forces launched a counteroffensive in the Pacific, and the island they had landed on became a target. American aircraft began bombarding the Japanese base on the island. Allison realized they would have to take risky action if they were to survive. He knew the island's powerful Japanese cannons would pose a significant threat to the approaching American ships. Amidst darkness and heavy fire, Allison slipped out of his hiding place. With the courage and cunning of a trained Marine, he sabotaged and destroyed one of the Japanese main cannons. He also used the weapons he had acquired to attack the Japanese base, creating chaos and distracting the enemy. Long story short, Allison, wounded while on duty, was rescued by American soldiers. Despite her suffering, Allison still respected and loved Angela for the immense sacrifice she had made during her difficult time on the island. Until Allison was evacuated by the American army, Angela accompanied her to the boat, as if showing a spiritual bond between them after going through difficult times while on the island. This story is both dramatic and inspiring, about human connection in difficult situations. It teaches that love doesn't always have to be romantic or possessive, but can be about respect, sacrifice, and spiritual support. Allison, a soldier, learns about faith and self-control, while Angela learns about courage from a soldier. At the heart of this story is the recognition that anyone, regardless of background or beliefs, can find the strength to be a hero for others, even amidst the horrors of war.